And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm David Kramer with Alaska Weather. Thanks for joining for our general weather segment for today. Starting off, we'll take a look at the advisories and watches that we have out for the state. Along the west coast, we have a mixture of high surf advisories and coastal flood advisories. These are starting in the Kuskokwim Bay area, going up all the way to the Norton Sound area. They'll linger into very early Monday morning and some locations all the way through Monday morning. We also have a flood advisory for the Kuskokwim River itself from some backing up of the water as we get some of that high surge pushing into the area. That's going to be from Bethel south all the way to the mouth of the river. In some of the areas where we're going to see the highest levels of rise is going to be in the Kuskokwim Delta area, where we could see rises of 2 to 5 feet above normal high tide. And then as we get farther to the north, it'll be more like 2 to 4 feet, or even some areas 1 to 3 feet. For more specifics for any of these advisories, please check our website, weather.gov/Alaska. You can check out any of the timing or information on those products. We also have a flood watch for the Anchorage area that's going to go into Sunday. And we also have a wind advisory going into Sunday around the afternoon time frame through the eastern portion of the Alaska range. Some stronger winds through the gaps there. Taking a look now at our satellite imagery, our main system that's bringing the coastal flooding concerns as well as a lot of the rain to the areas. This one out west, you can see the main low out over the Bering Sea. And we also have a lot of cloud cover pushing in with a lot of moisture with that to areas of the southern portion of the state all the way into the south central area and bringing in some of that moisture to southwest Alaska as well. So here when we look at our map for today's weather, you can see that low out over the Bering Sea, pushing in some of that southwesterly flow. And you can see the long area of fetch, bringing in those higher wave levels to the southwestern portion of the state. Also seeing a lot of rain on the Alaska Peninsula, out by Kodiak as well. Some stronger winds will be associated with this storm too, and we'll see that rain pushing all the way up the west coast towards the Seward Peninsula area and out over much of mainland Alaska, from south central Alaska through much of the interior. However, a little bit drier on the north side of the Brooks Range. Weak high pressure out over the Panhandle area, keeping most of the area dry. Some areas in the south have a little bit of some rain lingering. But as we move into tonight and we have a new low forming off that old boundary out in the Gulf of Alaska, we're going to have southwest winds pushing in more moisture to the Panhandle area, especially the central and northern locations. We'll still have rain throughout much of mainland Alaska, including all the southern and central locations. Still seeing a lot of rain along the west coast as well, pushing into the Brooks Range. A little bit drier up along most of the north slope though. Behind this system, we're having a lot of those westerly winds come in, but it's going to be pretty light in terms of precipitation for the Aleutian Islands, where we have some rain showers for most of the area. But we have some precip coming in towards the western Aleutians, and as we move into Sunday, we'll see that creep in a little bit closer there, just staying to the south of the western Aleutian Islands. Westerly flow continuing throughout much of the Bering Sea and Aleutians. Still seeing more rain, especially on the Bering side of the Alaska Peninsula. A little bit of rain lingering for Kodiak Island, but where our low has moved just inland here, we are going to see the majority of the rain falling there all the way along the west coast, extending up all throughout the north slope as well now through the interior. We are seeing a little bit of breaks for some of the areas in south central for Kenai Peninsula and down in Kodiak. Southwest flow is overtaking the Panhandle. Going to see rain throughout all of the area there, extending up the North Gulf Coast area through Yakutat as well. Then as we move into Monday, lingering rain over the Panhandle area. Lingering rain for south central as well. Some lighter rain for the rest of mainland Alaska all the way up to the north slope area. But down the west coast, starting to see a little break. We have some weak ridging pushing in here that's clearing out some of the areas along southwest Alaska. But our next system has now moved in, bringing rain throughout the Aleutian Islands and throughout the Bering Sea. We do have an extra map today. We are going to look at Tuesday because that system will push into southwest, and we're going to have another round of rain coming into southwest Alaska and south central, falling right on the heels of that first system that we were watching. So expect continued rounds with this active pattern, more rain coming in with more lows moving through the area. Behind this storm, we're going to have westerly flow, but it's going to be pretty clear in terms of precipitation for the Aleutian Islands. A little bit clearer up north. We have some ridging helping out, keeping the northern portions of the state a little bit drier. And then the weak ridging that we had over the west coast has now moved out over the Panhandle area, helping to clear out the Panhandle as well on Tuesday. Looking at our low temperatures for the state, we'll start off in southeast. Temperatures dropping into the upper 40s for the most part as we get closer towards the coastal mountains in the mid 40s there. And then for south central Alaska, dropping down into the mid to upper 40s. Sunday afternoon highs getting up into the mid 50s for south central and mid to upper 50s for the Panhandle, warmer as we get farther to the south. Monday morning lows dropping down into the 50s for the most part. Again, coastal areas are going to be a little bit cooler there in the 40s. And then for south central Alaska, the mid to upper 40s. Colder in the Copper River Basin, down to 38 degrees for that Monday morning low for Glen Allen. Monday afternoon highs getting back up into the lower to mid 50s all around south central Alaska. And in the mid to upper 50s for the Panhandle, warmest as we get farther to the south. Moving up into the interior, Sunday morning lows are going to drop down into the mid 40s through the interior, mid 30s for the Arctic coastline, and mid 40s down the west coast. Sunday afternoon highs getting back up to near 50 degrees along the west coast, into the 40s for the Arctic coast, and into the mid 50s for much of the interior. Monday morning lows dropping back down into the low 40s. Fort Yukon getting a little bit colder there at 37 and 35 through the Brooks Range, and mid 30s, mid to upper 30s for the Arctic coast. Down to the lower 40s for the west coast. Gamble's getting down to 38. Monday afternoon highs getting into the mid 40s for the west coast, low to mid 40s for the Arctic coastline, warmer as we get farther to the east. Then down in the interior, just getting into the 50s for the interior Monday afternoon. Southwest Alaska lows for Sunday morning going to drop down into the mid to upper 40s. That's going to be true for the Alaska Peninsula as well. And then mid 40s for much of the Aleutian Islands. Sunday afternoon highs getting up into the 50s for the Aleutians, 52 there at St. Paul. And then Southwest Alaska getting up into the right around 50 degrees for the YK Delta area. Mid 50s as we get by Bristol Bay. Monday morning, lows dropping back down into the mid 40s all along Southwest Alaska, upper 40s for the Alaska Peninsula, and mid 40s for the Aleutian Islands. Finally, on Monday afternoon, getting up into the mid 50s for the Aleutians, and mid 50s for the Alaska Peninsula as well, into Bristol Bay area, and right around 50 degrees for the YK Delta. Alaska weather, I'm David Kramer. Thanks for watching.